You're still here for a reason. Why God kept you alive after 60. If you're still here after all these years, after the battles, the losses, the tears, it's not by accident. It's because heaven still has your name written on an unfinished page. Every breath you take past 60 is proof that God is not done with you yet. You've walked through storms that should have broken you. You've seen friends, family, maybe even dreams fade away, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still chosen. And sometimes you wonder, why me, Lord? Why am I still here? The answer is simple, yet profound, because there's still something eternal left for you to do. You are not living on leftovers. You are living on purpose. Think about it. You've seen decades of change, in people, in culture, in yourself. You've loved deeply. You've lost deeply. You've prayed prayers that took years to answer, and some that are still waiting. But through it all, one truth has never changed. God's hand has never left your life. He carried you when you didn't have the strength to keep walking. He healed you when you thought you were too broken to recover. He protected you from things you didn't even know were coming. And if you're still here, it's because His purpose is still unfolding in you. Maybe the world doesn't see it. Maybe you don't even feel it anymore. But heaven sees the quiet power of your faith. The way you've held on when it would have been easier to let go. The way you've prayed for others, forgiven when it hurt, and kept believing when it made no sense. You see, after 60, your story doesn't end, it deepens. This isn't the season of fading, it's the season of fruit. This is when your roots show their strength, when your wisdom becomes someone else's survival guide, when your testimony becomes someone else's turning point. You are living proof that God keeps His promises. You are the evidence that time doesn't erase calling, it refines it. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you're still alive is because someone out there still needs to hear your voice, feel your kindness, learn from your scars, and see Jesus through the way you live. So before you think your best days are behind you, pause, take a deep breath. Because God's not through writing your story. He's just turning the page. You're not at the end of your purpose. You're at the beginning of a new assignment. And if you'll let Him, He will use your years, your wisdom, your heart to light the path for those still finding their way home. You're still alive because heaven isn't finished with you yet. Number 1, the breath you still carry, proof of purpose. If you're hearing this right now, it means you've been granted another sunrise, another heartbeat, another chance to see what God still wants to do through you. Do you realize how sacred that is? Every breath you take is not a coincidence. It's a signature of divine intention. God could have called you home years ago, but He didn't, because somewhere in His eternal plan, your name still carries a mission. The world measures life in years, but heaven measures life in purpose. And if you're still breathing, that means your purpose hasn't been fulfilled yet. Maybe you've said to yourself, I'm too old now, my time has passed. But God never retires His servants. He reassigns them. When one season closes, another begins. Think about Moses. He spent 40 years in the desert, not forgotten, but being formed. And at 80, when the world would have called him done, God called him chosen. He sent him back to Egypt, not to survive history, but to make it. So when you wake up in the morning and see the light creeping through your curtains, that's not just sunlight. That's heaven whispering, I still have work for you. You've carried burdens that younger hearts could never imagine. You've cried prayers that no one else ever heard. And through it all, God has been shaping something inside of you. A faith that doesn't shake easily. A peace that no one can steal. A voice that speaks not from theory, but from testimony. That's why your breath matters. It's not just air, it's assignment. You're not here to count your days. You're here to complete them. You see, many people confuse surviving with living. But when God keeps you alive, it's not just to exist, it's to impact. Someone needs the wisdom that only your scars can teach. Someone needs the prayer that only your experience can pray. Someone needs to see faith that didn't fade with time. It grew stronger. So don't say, "I'm done." Say, "I'm still here," because he's not done with me. You've got breath. That's your proof of purpose. You've got a heartbeat. That's your reminder that heaven hasn't released you yet. And every day you wake up, it's like God signing your name on a new page of destiny, saying, "My child, let's begin again." You're not a leftover from the past. You're a living letter of his faithfulness. And as long as that breath flows through your lungs, you carry the evidence that God is still writing through your life. Don't waste the air he's given you on regret. Use it to speak hope, love, and truth. Because one day when you finally stand before him, you'll understand every breath was part of his masterpiece. Number 2, the seasons you've survived. Evidence of his faithfulness. Look back for a moment. Think of all the seasons you've lived through. The storms that came without warning. The nights you didn't think you'd make it to morning. The people you lost. The dreams that slipped away. And yet somehow, here you are. That's not coincidence. That's covenant. That's the faithfulness of a God who refused to let your story end in the storm. You see, every wrinkle on your face tells a chapter of grace. Every scar is a reminder that hell tried, but heaven won. You didn't get here by strength alone. You got here because mercy carried you. When you couldn't stand, his hand held you. When your heart was breaking, his love was rebuilding. When you thought it was over, God whispered, "I'm not done yet." And now, after all these years, you carry something most people only learn through pain: perspective. You've seen enough to know that God doesn't always answer fast, but he always answers right. You've learned that faith isn't built in comfort, it's built in the storm. And every trial that didn't destroy you became the soil where your roots grew deeper. Maybe you remember the years when the bills were bigger than your paycheck, or the nights when your children were far from God and you prayed till your voice cracked. Maybe there were hospital rooms where you felt completely alone, but even then, something inside whispered, "Hold on." That voice wasn't you. That was the Spirit keeping you steady when everything else shook. Every season you survived tells a story of faithfulness, not your faithfulness, his. Because there were moments when you didn't believe, but he still blessed. There were days you didn't pray, but he still protected. There were times you gave up, but he never gave up on you. You've lived enough life to know that God's promises aren't always instant, but they're always certain. He never promised the road would be easy, but he did promise you'd never walk it alone. And somehow, through every valley, every detour, every delay, you found that he was already there, waiting for you. So when you look back now, don't just see pain, see proof. Proof that your survival wasn't luck, it was purpose. Proof that God's grace has been chasing you, covering you, carrying you all along. The seasons you thought were punishment were actually preparation. The losses you mourned were seeds of something greater, and the tears you cried watered the ground for the next harvest of blessing. So don't curse your past, testify about it, because the same God who kept you through those dark days is the one who's still keeping you now. Every season you've survived is a sermon without words, a living testimony that God is faithful and that grace never grows old. You didn't just survive to tell the story, you survived to become the story. Number 3, wisdom, not wounds. Turning pain into purpose. You've carried pain that words can't describe. Some of it came from people you trusted. Some of it came from life just being unfair. And some of it you still don't understand. But listen closely. Your pain was never wasted, because every scar you carry has a sermon hidden inside it. What once broke you is now the very thing that gives your words power. When you were younger, you thought strength meant never falling. Now you know real strength is getting back up, again and again, even when no one sees you rise. You've learned that wisdom isn't something you read in a book. It's what's born in you, when you walk through fire and come out with faith still intact. The world calls it experience. Heaven calls it testimony. And testimony is what turns wounds into weapons. Weapons that defeat fear, shame, and regret. You see, the enemy wanted your pain to make you bitter, but God used it to make you better. The very thing that hurt you became the tool that shaped you. The people who walked away taught you who never would. The losses you faced revealed what truly lasts. And the seasons that left you empty, they made room for God to fill you deeper. So now, when you speak, there's a weight to your words. You don't just talk about faith, you've lived it. You don't just preach peace, you've fought for it. You don't just quote promises, you've seen them come alive in the middle of pain. Think about Job. He lost everything: family, health, wealth, and still said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That's not naive faith, that's refined faith. That's the kind of faith you carry after 60. The kind that doesn't panic when life shakes, because it remembers who held you together the last time everything fell apart. And now this wisdom you've gained, it's not just for you, it's for those coming behind you. The next generation needs your voice. They need someone who's been through the valleys they're afraid to face. Someone who can say, "I've been there, and I promise, God brings beauty from ashes." So don't hide your story out of shame. Let it shine out of surrender. Your story might be the survival manual someone else needs right now. Every heartbreak you endured was a classroom. Every tear was a teacher. And every disappointment was an invitation to know God more deeply. The truth is, the pain that once made you question God is now the very thing that qualifies you to reveal Him. You know His comfort because you've known sorrow. You know His healing because you've been broken. You know His faithfulness because you've lived through the waiting. So wear your scars like medals of grace. They don't disqualify you, they define you. You're not the person you were before the pain. You're wiser, softer, stronger, and more like Christ. Because the older you grow in faith, the clearer it becomes. God never wastes pain. He redeems it, refines it, and reuses it. And what once felt like the end of your story has become the chapter that proves His love was real all along. Number 4. The assignment that remains. Why your story isn't over. You woke up today because heaven still has work for you to do. You may not hold the same strength you once did. You may move a little slower, rest a little longer, but your spirit, your purpose, still burns bright. There's an assignment with your name on it, and no one else can complete it like you can. You see, God doesn't measure your usefulness by your youth. He measures it by your willingness. As long as you're willing, you're useful. As long as you're breathing, you're chosen. When David grew old, he couldn't fight battles with a sword anymore. But his words, his worship, his wisdom, they still shaped a nation. When Anna the prophetess was in her 80s, she didn't retire from serving God. She devoted her nights to prayer and prophecy in the temple. And when Paul sat in a prison cell, chained and forgotten by men, he still wrote letters that changed the world. That's the beauty of divine purpose. It doesn't expire when the body slows down. It evolves. Maybe your assignment now isn't to build something new, but to pour into those who will. Maybe God kept you alive, not to chase success, but to teach someone else what true significance looks like. Maybe your prayers are the reason your family is still standing. Maybe your words will awaken someone's faith long after you're gone. Never underestimate the power of a voice that has walked with God for decades, because experience with Him creates an authority that cannot be faked. When you speak, heaven echoes. When you pray, hell trembles. When you encourage, hearts heal. Don't let the enemy whisper that your time has passed. Your time is now. Because God doesn't waste decades. He invests them. And every lesson, every tear, every triumph has been preparing you for this very season. The world might chase what's new, but God cherishes what's faithful. You are His living witness, a vessel carrying stories of His mercy and miracles. Your life itself is a sermon someone needs to hear. So lift your head. You're not at the end of your story. You're in the middle of your mission. Your ministry may not look like it used to, but it's just as important, maybe even more, because now you're not speaking from theory. You're speaking from truth. You've lived what others are only beginning to face, and your life is proof that God's grace outlasts every storm. So ask Him today, Lord, what do you want me to do with the time I have left? And listen closely, because somewhere in your family, your church, your community, there's someone waiting for the wisdom only you can give. Your story isn't over, it's multiplying. You're not a shadow of your younger self. You're a reflection of God's unshakable faithfulness. And until your very last breath, your assignment remains the same: to glorify Him, to love others, and to keep shining His light wherever He still allows you to stand. Number 5, legacy of light. What you leave behind. You've spent your life building, working, giving, loving, and maybe now you ask yourself, what will remain when I'm gone? That question doesn't come from fear. It comes from wisdom. Because deep down, you know life isn't about how long you live, but about what your living leaves behind. Your legacy isn't in the things you owned. It's in the lives you touched. It's in the children or friends who learned to pray because they saw you pray. It's in the kindness you gave when no one was watching. It's in the faith you kept when everything else fell apart. See, the world teaches us to count our years by success, but heaven counts them by significance. And after 60, the measure of your life is not in what you gain, but in what you give. Think about Abraham. He didn't see every promise fulfilled in his lifetime, but his faith laid the foundation for generations after him. The Bible says, he looked for a city whose builder and maker is God. That means he lived, not for what he could touch, but for what would outlive him. That's the call for you now, to become a builder of eternal things, to plant seeds of hope that will keep growing long after you're gone. Maybe it's a grandchild who'll remember your voice when they pray. Maybe it's a young believer who'll recall your words of encouragement when their faith shakes. Maybe it's a friend who'll say, they never gave up on God, and neither will I. That's legacy, not fame, not fortune, but faith passed on like a flame that never dies. You see, your later years are not a fading light, they're a guiding one. You've walked through darkness and learned how to find your way back to the light, and now you get to hand that wisdom to others. You've seen that forgiveness brings peace, that prayer changes things, that love always wins. Those lessons are the treasures you leave behind. And maybe, just maybe, the reason God has kept you alive this long is because there's still one more person you're meant to lead toward Him. One more soul who needs to see faith lived out in real time, not in perfection, but in perseverance. So don't think of legacy as something far away. You're building it right now, in how you speak, how you forgive, how you love. Your legacy is being written every time you choose peace over pride, every time you show grace instead of judgment, every time you choose to keep believing. One day, when you finally step into eternity, you'll see the ripple effect of every act of faith, every whispered prayer, every seed of kindness you sowed, and God will smile and say, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's the legacy that matters most. Not what you leave to the world, but what you leave in it. A trail of light, a testimony of love, a faith that outlived you and kept pointing others to the one who gave you every single breath. Number 6. The power of gratitude in the later years. Gratitude, it's the language of heaven, and the older you grow, the more powerful it becomes. You see, thankfulness is not just a polite word. It's a spiritual weapon. It shifts the atmosphere of your heart, and it reminds your soul that God has been faithful, even when life has not been easy. When you reach 60, 70, or 80, You start to see things differently. You stop chasing what doesn't last, and you start cherishing what always mattered. A warm sunrise, a family dinner, a phone call from someone you love, the sound of laughter, the simple mercy of waking up another day. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into holy ground. The truth is, complaining drains your joy, but gratitude refills it. Bitterness ages the soul, but thankfulness renews it. And every "thank you, Lord," you whisper adds another layer of peace around your heart. Look back at your life. How many times did God come through when you thought it was over? How many prayers did He answer quietly, without you even realizing it until years later? How many dangers did He shield you from that you never even saw? Gratitude doesn't ignore pain. It redeems it. It doesn't deny loss. It transforms it into perspective. Because when you thank God for what you still have, you stop mourning what you've lost, and you start seeing your story not as a list of sorrows, but as a collection of miracles. Remember Paul? He wrote some of his most joyful words from a prison cell. Rejoice always. In everything give thanks. That's not denial. That's divine maturity. That's the kind of thankfulness that says, I may not have all I want, but I have all I need, because I have Him. When you live with a grateful heart, it changes the way people see you. Grateful people radiate peace. They attract others, because gratitude is contagious. It makes faith visible. Maybe your body isn't as strong as it used to be. Maybe some dreams didn't come true the way you hoped. But if you can still thank God in this season, you're already walking in victory. Each thank you is a declaration. I trust you, Lord, even here, even now. So make gratitude your daily rhythm. Thank Him for the past, because it shaped you. Thank Him for the present, because He's with you. Thank Him for the future, because He's already there. Start and end your days with those words. Thank you, Jesus. They may seem small, but they hold power, because gratitude doesn't change who God is. It changes how you see Him. And when you live in that constant awareness of grace, your heart becomes lighter, your spirit grows stronger, and your later years become your most peaceful ones. Gratitude is what keeps joy alive. When everything else slows down, it keeps your soul young while your body ages, and it reminds you, every single day, that you're still surrounded by blessings far greater than your burdens. So keep thanking Him for the breath in your lungs, for the memories that still make you smile, for the unseen mercies carrying you through. Because a grateful heart never grows old, it just grows closer to heaven. Number 7. Preparing for the eternal. Living ready, not weary. There comes a point in life when you stop running after more and start resting in what matters most. After 60, the world tells you to slow down, to retire, to fade quietly. But heaven whispers something else. Prepare, not out of fear, not out of fear, not out of dread, but out of peace. The kind that comes when you know this world was never the final home. You've seen how fast time moves. One moment, you're raising children. The next, you're watching them raise theirs. One day you're dreaming about the future, and suddenly you realize you've been living it all along. That's when your heart starts to shift, from holding on to letting go, from chasing temporary things to treasuring eternal ones. Because deep inside, you can feel it. This life isn't the destination, it's the doorway. And one day, maybe soon, maybe far, that door will open, not as an ending, but as an arrival. You'll step into the place you've been longing for without even knowing it. A place with no tears, no pain, no goodbyes. The place where the one you've prayed to all these years will finally take your hand and say, welcome home. But until that day, you still have a calling here. To live ready, not weary. To live expectant, not exhausted. Because readiness isn't about waiting in fear. It's about walking in faith. It's forgiving quickly, loving deeply, serving humbly, and trusting God fully. Even when tomorrow is uncertain, some people fear growing old because they think it means losing purpose. But for a believer, growing old means growing closer. Closer to the presence of the one who has walked beside you through every valley. Your age isn't a countdown, it's a testimony. Every year you've lived has been a rehearsal for eternity. Think about Simeon in the temple. He waited his whole life just to see the Savior. And when he finally did, he said, "Now, Lord, you can let your servant depart in peace." That's what it means to live ready, peaceful, expectant, unafraid. So don't waste your later years worrying about when the end will come. Spend them preparing your heart for the glory that's waiting. Make peace with your past. Forgive those who hurt you. Tell the people you love how much they mean to you. And most of all, make sure your heart is right with God. Because eternity isn't something to fear. It's something to look forward to. It's not darkness, it's dawn. Not an ending, but a homecoming. One day you'll lay down the weight of this world, and everything that ever hurt you, confused you, or broke you will finally make sense in His presence. You'll see that every unanswered prayer, every delayed promise was part of a perfect story, one that leads straight to His glory. So live ready, my friend. Keep your lamp full. Keep your faith strong. Keep your eyes lifted, because every sunrise that still greets you is a reminder. You're one day closer to forever. And when that day comes, you won't face it with fear, but with the quiet joy of someone who knows you've finished your race, you've kept the faith, and you're finally going home. Conclusion. You're still here for a reason. If you're still breathing, still waking up to see another sunrise, still hearing these words, then your story isn't finished. God hasn't closed your chapter. He's simply giving you new pages to write. Maybe the road behind you has been long. Maybe it's been filled with victories and valleys, laughter and loss. But through it all, one truth has never changed. God has been faithful. You've survived what others couldn't. You've carried faith through fire, and you've seen firsthand that grace is not a theory. It's oxygen. It's the reason you're still standing. Every day you wake up is another invitation from heaven. An invitation to love deeper, to forgive quicker, to encourage someone who's ready to give up, to keep shining the light that's been burning inside you for decades. You are living proof that God finishes what He starts, and the fact that you're still here means He's not done using you yet. Maybe your ministry isn't behind a pulpit anymore. Maybe it's in a quiet conversation, a kind word to a stranger, a prayer whispered for your family before bed. But don't underestimate it, because heaven never does. You see, the world measures greatness by what's seen, but God measures it by what's sown. And you've sown seeds of faith, of hope, of love, in hearts that will bear fruit long after you're gone. So take this as your reminder. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not finished. You are chosen for such a time as this. Let your remaining years be your most fruitful ones. Let your words heal. Let your prayers protect. Let your faith inspire. And when you finally step into eternity, you'll look back and realize every moment, every breath, every tear was part of something bigger than you could ever imagine. So if this message has touched your heart, pause right now and thank God for keeping you. Thank Him for the purpose still unfolding in your life. And if you feel led, share this word, because there's someone else out there who needs to hear that their story isn't over either. And before you go, if you want more messages that remind you of hope, faith, and the promises of God, make sure you subscribe, join our community of believers, and keep walking with us on this journey of faith. Because you're not just surviving, you're still serving, you're still shining, and as long as there's breath in your lungs, you're still called. Heaven isn't finished with you yet.